So it is day 8, Thursday, April 3rd, and for our Do Now today, I had you guys look at some linear equations, which we learned about yesterday, and I wanted to see if you could find the slope and the y-intercept of each one of these. Now, I gave you a little key up here at the top in case we forgot. A linear equation is written as y equals mx plus b, where the m, whatever number is there instead of m, is our slope. Whatever number is there instead of b is our y-intercept. So let's look at number 1. I have y equals 3x minus 2. What would my slope be? 3. Now, do I include x or is it just 3? Just 3. It's just the number. So my slope is 3. And what's my y-intercept? Negative 2. Why is it not positive 2? Does anybody know?
Because it's a negative.
Why is it a negative? How can I tell?
Because it has negative signs on it.
Yeah, because it's minus 2 at the end. If it said plus 2, then it'd be positive, but it's negative because of that. Perfect. That's number 1. Let's look at number 2. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. What's my slope?
Negative 2/3.
Good. Negative 2/3. What's my y-intercept? 1. Perfect. All right. Let's look at number 3. Y equals negative 2x plus 3. What is my slope?
Negative 2.
Perfect. Negative 2. And my y-intercept? 3. Positive 3. Perfect. Okay, and last but not least, number 4. Y equals 4/3 x minus 5. What's my slope?
4/3.
Perfect. 4/3. And my y-intercept?
Negative
5.
5.
All right. How do we feel about finding the slope and y-intercept? You think we got that? You guys feel confident about this? Good. Good. Okay, I'll take it. So now that we have all of our slopes and y-intercepts identified, I gave you a challenge. Yesterday I showed you how to graph a line, and I only showed you, I believe, one example. We went through it very briefly. So I wanted to see if any of you remembered how to graph any of the equations above. So let's start with number 1. Y equals 3x minus 2. I'm going to rewrite that problem down here. Okay, so y equals 3x minus 2. Does anybody remember what I should look at first? My y-intercept. What is my y-intercept? Negative 2. So we're looking at the y-intercept first, the number at the end. Whatever that number is, what do I do? Now that I know it's negative 2, what does that mean? Where am I putting my first point? On negative 2, this negative 2 or that negative 2? Yes, you're going to do the negative 2 that is on the y-axis, the up and down. So we're going to start right here at negative 2. That's my first point. Perfect. So I've made my first point. What do I do next? We're going to use that slope of 3. We are. So let me write our slope. Our slope is 3. Now, I only showed you how to graph a slope that is a fraction. This is a whole number. Slope is the same as rise over run. We talked about that for a moment yesterday. So let's write rise over run. My slope is 3. Does anyone know how to turn a whole number into a fraction? Put it over 1. If I do 3 divided by 1, it's still 3. It's still 3. I can show you on a calculator even. Here. 3 divided by 1 is still 3. So if we need 2 numbers for slope, we need a rise and a run, but we've only been given 1 number, that 1 number is our rise. The run will be 1. So if my rise is positive, which it is, that means from our first point we're going to go up. If our rise is 3, how many spaces do we move up? 3. So 1, 2, 3. There's my rise. Now where do I go for my run? Over 1 to the right. Boop, right there. So this is the second point on my line. I went up 3 over 1, just like my slope told me. And from here, we just connect the dots. And that is the graph of y equals 3x minus 2. So that's the first one. And now before we do the other 3, I'm going to have us write some notes. We're going to kind of copy down what I have on this chart up here so that we have some steps we can look back at if we ever forget how to graph a line. So we're going to take some notes and come back to these problems. I'll wait till everybody's got it down before I move it though. I see a few of us still getting your lines. I'm seeing my rulers coming out. And as we're waiting for everyone to finish up, maybe we can label some of these coordinates. In a coordinate, I have an x value and a y value. Which one comes first, x or y? X. Good. And then y. So my first point here, my y-intercept, what's the x value? Where does it line up on the x-axis? 0. Good. And my y value? -2. Good. Now let's label the next point. What's my x value? It wouldn't be 0. 0 would have to be right here. It would be 1, since whenever we trace down to the x-axis, we're landing on 1. So 1 is the value for x. And how about my y? Also 1. So there's our 2 points, and that's our line. Not too bad. Okay. So now I'm going to move this, and we will take some notes before graphing the other 3. I'm just going to title my page first of all. This is Algebra 1, Unit 2. And this will be our Day 8 notes. And this is page 1. And I will title this as How to Graph a Linear Equation. Y equals, hello. Oh, you're okay, you're okay. We just started taking some notes. B. Okay. So, we are going to write out the 3 steps to how to graph a linear equation. So, step 1. We are going to identify our y-intercept, and we want to put it on the graph. So I'm going to write graph the y-intercept. Okay. Now once we've graphed the y-intercept, might be important to note as well here actually. I'm going to say on the y-axis. Okay. Now, after we graph our y-intercept, that's our starting point. Then we want to use slope or m, whatever that number is in the equation, to graph a second point. And we will recall that slope is the same as rise, or how high up or down we need to move, over run, which is how far to the right we go. So that's step 2. And once we have our 2 points, our 2 little dots on our graph, all that's left to do is to connect the dots with a line. And that's it. So I'll leave these steps up for a moment for anyone that is copying them down. And then we'll do some more graphing. And the next one that we'll graph, I'll start writing it below here. We have y equals -2/3 x plus 1. Okay. And I'll mention this again, if anybody ever wants copies of notes, especially I know once we get to this graphing stuff, it can be a little more time consuming to copy everything down. If you want any copies of my notes, you can always ask me for that. And I'm happy to do that. Okay, so let's scooch that up just a little bit, and we're going to look at the second problem on that do now. And I'll start by giving myself a graph. And it doesn't have to be very big. Let's do 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3. Okay. Okay, is anybody still needing to see these steps above, or can I move my paper? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move it and zoom in on this graph I'm making so we can all see it a little bit better. Okay. So, here is a graph. And I will label my y-axis, the one going up and down, and my x-axis going left to right. So, what does step 1 say to do?
Graph your y-intercept first.
Yes, graph the y-intercept. What is my y-intercept here?
1.
1. So I'm going to circle that. This is my y-intercept. And where does my first point go?
On your right, at the 1.
Right here?
Mm-hmm.
Now, which axis is that?
The x-axis.
The x.
Do the y first.
Ah, we want to put it on the y-axis. So we'll go up 1. There we go. So that's our first point. What does step 2 tell us to do?
Go down 2.
Ooh, okay. So what are you using? How do you know to go down 2?
Because you're, no.
You're right, by the way. You're correct.
You start at the 1,
Mm-hmm.
and you move down to -2.
You are correct. I want to know, how did you know to move down 2, though? What told you that?
Because you can rise or you can fall.
Yes, But what, like, where did you
The
find in
negative
the equation? Yeah, this right here.
Yeah.
There's a negative 2 over 3. And this is our slope. So, just like you said, since our slope is negative 2 over 3, that means our rise is negative 2. So instead of rising up, since it's negative, we go down 2. So let's start from our first point and go down 1, 2. And we'll land right here.
Oh, -1.
Yes. So the rise doesn't tell us what number to land on. It tells us how far to move.
And you run 3 spots over.
Yes. And then we run 3. So from here we go 1, 2, 3. And this would be our second point. What is left to do?
Connect the dots.
Connect the dots, yes. So I will get as close to those points as I can. And I will draw a line through and put little arrows on either end. Now, something you might notice about slope is that you can tell the slope is negative 2/3 by looking at this line. If I start from any point on this line, if I go down 2 and over 3, I will end up touching another part of the line. I can do that from anywhere. So if I started from here, I could go 1, 2, for my rise, it's down 2. My run is 3. 1, 2, 3. Ah, there's another point. I could keep doing that forever and ever and ever. I could even do it in reverse. I know I'm going over 3 this way and up 2. If I went backwards, 1, 2, 3, up 2. Ah, there's another point. You see that? It will continue on forever in both directions. Right? I think it's cool too. It literally tells you exactly how steep it will be, and that steepness never changes. I think it's really neat too. Okay, so there is our first line. Very nice. Let's look at number 3 on the do now. We'll try to graph that next. Number 3, we have, let me get a different color. We've got y equals negative 2x plus 3. And I will draw another little graph. So I'll make my highest point 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and connecting my dots. Okay. I'll draw my x-axis, 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. You know, I know it takes a little longer to draw the graph yourself, but I kind of find it satisfying. I don't know about you guys. I think it's kind of fun to draw it. Okay, there we go. And I will label my x and y axis. And I'll give everyone a minute to get caught up with that. So I'm going to move this over and zoom in on this one. There we go. So, looking at our 3 steps, what do I do first? My 3, what does my 3 represent? The y-intercept. So, where does my first point go? On 3. X or y-axis? Y-axis, good. That's my starting point. And what should I do next? Running to the -2. What does that mean?
Running means the horizontal line. Yeah.
Yes, okay. So let's think about it. We are going to use -2, and -2 is our slope. So -2, and slope is rise over run. So if my slope is -2 and my slope is rise over run, -2 will be my rise. What will be my run? 1. Perfect. So since my rise is negative, will I move up or down? Down. How many spaces? 2. 1, 2. Yep, and then my run is 1, so I go over 1. And that is our second point. Right there. So I can label this as well. My rise was -2. That's why we went down 2. And my run was 1. Okay. What is the very last step? Connect the dots. So we want to make sure that our ruler is touching both points very nicely. And I kind of wrote all over my graph, so it does look a little bit funky, but that is our line. And we can make sure that we graphed it right by seeing, can I keep doing my slope over and over and over, and is it still touching my line? If it is, you did it right. So by keep doing my slope, it's like what we did on that previous problem. I'll start from this point on the line. I should be able to go down 2 and over 1. 1, 2, over 1. Yep, it worked. Down 2, over 1. Yep, still works. So there it is. Not too bad. Okay, do we have any questions about this process that we've done in these last 3 problems now? Or do we feel like we're all following along pretty well?
Following along, more practice is good.
Yes, more practice is needed, but that is good. If we're catching on this quick, that's excellent. I love it. Okay. Can I move this? Or is anyone still copying it down? Okay, I'll wait just a minute then. Take your time. Perfect. We've done those. Let's do the last problem on the do now. There was a 4th question. Oopsie. Let me make that bigger. Okay, so I am going to start a new page of notes because I am out of room on my page. Okay. And let's get that to focus again. So, Algebra 1. Okay, so the fourth problem that we had was y equals 4/3 x minus 5. Okay. So, I know that since my y-intercept is -5, I'm going to need my graph to at least go down to -5. So that's the number that I will start with. Let's see. But I'm not going to make it go up as high on top. Let's do up to 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Okay, and I'm gonna turn this zoom off and just do it manually. I think we get better quality that way. Here we go. Okay. Connecting my dots. One, 2, 3, 4. -1, -2, -3, -4. Here we go. Okay. I have. Well, you do it all day, every day. You start to get good at it. So here's my x-axis and my y. And I'll give everybody a minute to finish getting their graphs drawn. I know it's a little time consuming. Let's go ahead and get started doing this last one together. And then this is a great opportunity to ask any of those last second questions you might have, because after this example, I am going to give you some that I want you to try on your own. So, we could look back at our do now. We already have our slope and y-intercept that we found, 4/3 and -5. So I'm going to write those out to the side here. My y-intercept is -5. And my slope is 4/3. Okay. So, what do I do first?
Put your first dot on the -5 on the y-axis.
Perfect. We're going to start at -5 on the y-axis because that is our y-intercept. So here's our first point. And where do we go from here?
You're going to rise from that -5 point.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go up 4.
Perfect. My slope says that my rise is 4. So we'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4.
And then run to the right 3.
Good. Then our run is 3, so we go over to the right. 1, 2, 3. And that's our second point. Beautiful. Connect the dots. Amazing. Very nice. Okay. Oops. Come on now. There's our line. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So, now, everybody feeling okay? You guys seem to be getting this really well, which is excellent. I'll leave that where you can see it still, but I am going to give you a few equations that I want you to try graphing by yourself. So, I'll start writing them under here. Try to graph these on your own. And I'm just going to write a list out, and you can either make your own graphs for each one, or I need to make some more copies of graph paper that you guys can use so that you don't have to draw every graph. I know that takes forever. Okay, I'm going to give you 6 of them. Okay, so here are 6 equations. I would like for you guys to try to graph these on your own. There are a few pre-made graph pages up here at the front. If you would like to use them, I know they're really teeny tiny graphs, so they're a little bit difficult to see the lines, but if you want to save some time, those are available. While you guys are working on these, I am going to create some new graph paper by hand and make copies of it so we have it ready for next week, and maybe even today if I finish it in time. But try these on your own. If you get stuck, ask a friend. If you and your friend are both stuck, you can ask me. But you guys got this. So I'm going to pause this, set a little timer. Yeah, that's the plan. So, you guys think you did okay? I bet y'all got this by now. I'm gonna go ahead and show my graph for our first problem. Y equals 2x minus 1. How do we graph this?
On your -1 on your y-axis.
Oh yes, our -1, -1 on the y-axis, that's our y-intercept.
Now on your x, on your y, from your -1 point,
Mhm.
go up 2,
Perfect.
and then you loop over 1.
Beautiful. Our slope is 2, which means 2 over 1 is our rise and run. So we go up 2 over 1, and that gives us our second point. And last but not least, connect those dots. Perfect. Beautifully done. Okay, is everybody's line for number 1 look about like this? Perfect. Awesome. Okay, let's look at the second one then. Y equals -3/4 x plus 4. What do I do first? 4. Good. We're going to go up 4 for our y-intercept. And where do I go from there? Perfect. My slope is -3 over 4, so down 3, 1, 2, 3, over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Connect the dots. Perfect. All right. Very nice. All right, that's number 2. Everybody got that one too? Awesome, awesome. Okay, I'm going to pull out another page to look at our third problem. I'll need to copy it down. So I've started a third page here. Okay, so number 3 we have, yes, we have y equals, thank you, -4x minus 2. Okay, where do we start? -2 on the y-axis. Perfect. What's our slope though?
4, -4.
Ah, -4. Do we go up 4?
Down.
Down 4. Ah, when our slope is negative, we move down. Tricky. So, we're going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's okay. So that was our rise. When our rise is negative, we move down. And our run is 1. So we'll go over 1 space. Yeah, those negatives will get you. They're tricky. When our That's okay. So we went down 4 over 1, and our second point should be at 1, -6 if we were to write it as a coordinate. Over 1, down 6. There we go. And we just connect our dots. I see a couple of us had to fix our work on that one. That is a tricky thing to remember, is whenever we have a negative slope, we're going to go down first. Yes, 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 yes. So there's our line. And it's a little tough to see it. with all of the stuff going on here. There it is. There it is. That's number 3. I'll let us copy that. Bless you. Okay. Now I'm going to start rewriting number 4. I have y equals 3x plus 2. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. Perfect. So we start at 2 on the y-axis.
And we rise up 3.
Mm-hmm. Let me find my purple. We're gonna, because our slope is 3, our rise is 1, 2, 3.
And over 1.
And good, over 1. And that will be our second point. We went up 3, over 1. Yes, connect the dots. Right through there. There we go. There we go. Okay. We get that one? All right. Let's look at number 5 now. Moving on. Let's rewrite that problem. 5. Now we have y equals negative 2 over 3x. Thank you, plus 4. Okay. Where do I go first? 4 on the y-axis. Up 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Yes, yes. Down 2. Because negative. So we're going to go 1, 2. Yes, and then to the right. Over 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Perfect. Connect the dots. You see, once we start getting the hang of this, it's not so bad. It's like 2 little steps. 3 if you count connecting them. You'll be graphing lines in your sleep. You get so good at it. All right, that was number 5. And last but not least, I'm going to rewrite 6. Number 6, I have y equals 6x minus 4.
Start at negative 4 on the y-axis.
Negative 4 should be my starting point.
Now you gotta go up 6.
Let's see. Up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Over 1.
And over 1. Yes. And there's the point. Yes, connect the dots. Nice, guys. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Oh. There we go. Wonderful. So when it comes to graphing lines, I think 2 of the trickiest things to remember is that when you have a negative slope, we go down for the rise. And I think the other thing that can be tricky is remembering that if our slope is a whole number, after we do the rise, our run is always 1. If there's not a run written, it's 1. Those are the two things that I see students struggle with the most. So getting that in our brains early on will be very helpful for us as we move on to more difficult things. Now, something else we might notice as we look at all of these lines that we've just graphed, I'm going to go back to the first problem. Do we have a positive slope or a negative slope here? Positive. So when we have a positive slope, our line going from left to right will be going up. Positive lines move up. Let's look at the other lines that have positive slopes. Does number 3 have a positive slope? No. No? Number 4? Yes. When I go from left to right, because I have a positive slope, my line goes up. See you, Jean. Is number 5 positive?
No.
No. Number 6?
Yeah.
Yes. Same thing here. This line is very steep, but it's still going up. Now with a negative slope, it's going to go down. Exactly. So let's look at all the other ones, like number 2. We have negative 3 over 4. Because it's a negative slope, notice how instead of going up, that line will be going down from left to right. Number 3 has a negative slope. It is also going down from left to right. And 5, yes, that is also a negative slope. So from left to right, we go down. So that's another really great way to be able to tell right away, how should my line look? If I have a negative slope and I graph my line and it's tilting up, I must have done something wrong. We want to make sure that our graph makes sense. So that's a really good thing to keep in mind. Now, it is 2:05. We've gone a little over what would normally be period 3. So at this time, I am going to let you guys have a little break. And let's see. Let's say we'll start back up again. We're going to do kind of a shorter break today because I would like to try to get you out of here before the end of class officially is here. Because today we have an open house thing going on a little bit later, right when your guys' class ends. So all the teachers have a bunch of stuff that we have to do. This is a busy week. Yes. So that all being said, that's going to be our first half today. Let's come back at 2:20. That gives us 15 minutes. And then we'll just talk for a little bit longer when we get back about one more little thing I want to show you. So that is it. We'll come back around 2:20. Okay. And I'll pause my recording. All right, so we just did a bunch of work graphing lines, and it seems like you guys have got a good hold on that. So I just passed out a little piece of paper that looks like this. Now we're going to go in the opposite direction. Instead of me giving you an equation and you graphing the line, sometimes you're going to have a line that's already graphed with no equation. We're going to work backwards and we're going to write the equation of this line. just by identifying the slope and the y-intercept. So I will show you first an example, and you can follow along on your paper. But if you remember, when we are doing slope, we're just counting our rise and our run between 2 points. So on this first graph I've given you, we're going to pick a point, any point. And I think I'm going to start with this one up here, which is at 3, 2. So from this point, all we need to do is count our rise and our run to the next point on the graph. So I'm going to zoom in real close and show you exactly what's going on here. Yes. So I want to see the difference between this dot, this point, and the next one that shows up, which is here. So just like you said, Titania, there is 1, 2 spaces up and 1 space over. So what is my rise? 2. What is my run? 1. So if my rise is 2 and my run is 1, what's my slope?
4.
Let's see. My slope is just rise over run. Where did you get 4? It's 2. We went up 2, we went over 1. So our slope is 2 over 1. Or we can just say 2. However, if you wrote 2 over 1, that's not incorrect. That's also right. So for our slope, it is 2 or 2 over 1. Both are correct. So we've already got our slope. Now our y-intercept is just the point that touches the y-axis. So we're going to look at our line and see, where does it cross over the y-axis? Right here at -4. So what's my y-intercept? -4. Look at that.
That's where I was getting the 4 from.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Because I found the y-axis first.
Yes.
You starting with that slope.
Right. So that is perfect. Now, this is a little step further. We know how to find the slope and the y-intercept, but if I wanted you to write the equation, remember, our equation is y equals mx plus b.
Y.
And our, yes, let's do that. Here, let me get a different color. So I know that my y equals will never change.
2.5. Well, 2.
2, good. So I'm just plugging in a number for slope, which we found is 2. So we have y equals 2 x plus b. Yes. So we could either write plus -4, or what could we write instead?
-4.
Just -4, -4. Look at that. We just wrote an equation. Isn't that crazy?
Well, you know what? I never understood, because it's crazy, because you got to find the y-axis, which is like it's backwards.
Right, it is. It is a little backwards sometimes, but we start getting really good at identifying these, and it'll be super easy to keep track of which is which. But look at that. We wrote an equation. That's pretty good. So let's look at this next one. And can I move this, or does anyone still need it? Hold it there for a moment. Okay, So let's look at this line now. And we'll start with slope. Now, when we find our slope, we're always going to go from left to right. So let's pick a point to the left. How about this one? How would I find the slope of this line starting from here and going to my next point? Yes, we're going to go down until we're at the same height. 1, 2, 3. So we went down 3 and go over 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay. Now, because we went down 3, what does that say about the sign of?
Negative.
Yes. -3. When we go down, it is negative. Just like when we go down on the graph, we have negative numbers. Anytime we're moving down, it's because of a negative number. So, if our rise is -3, and our run, yes, is 4, what's our slope? -3/4. Good. We're just sticking those numbers in, so I'm going to write that down here. -3/4.
And your y-intercept is going to be 4.
Let's see. Where does it touch? Where does my line?
Oh, 3.
Aha. Our line is touching the y-axis at 3. So, our y-intercept is 3. So there we go. We've got them both written down. Now, I'm going to write out y equals blank x plus blank. Okay, this is what I'm plugging my numbers into. So, if I wanted to write the equation of this line, I'm going to say y equals what?
-3/4.
Good. -3/4 x
3.
plus 3. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. And that's our equation. Now, who would have thought that you would be able to look at a line and write all that? Pretty crazy. I think it's kind of cool. We've got our equation. That's pretty good. Okay, I'll leave this up for just a moment in case anyone is still copying that down. And I would like for you guys to see if you can do the last two on your own. See if you can identify the slope and the y-intercept. And after that, if you can write the equation too, that would be amazing. If not, I'm throwing that in as a bonus part of this lesson. But it'd be pretty cool if we got it so quick. So I'm going to leave my work up here. You guys try the next two on your own. And I'll pause this recording. All right. So here are the problems I had you do on your own. And I'm going to bring this sticky note down for when we do the equation part of things. And first, let's look at this graph here. I'm going to pick 2 points right next to each other. Any 2 points. They just need to be right beside each other. So let's do these 2. Okay. And then I'm going to zoom way in. So, starting with slope, what's the slope of this line?
Positive.
Positive. Positive what? 1. How'd you get that?
Because each one is up 1 over 1.
Yes. So I'm just looking to see where do I go to get from this first point to the second point. I went up 1 and over 1. And we said it's positive, so our slope is positive 1. Perfect. Now, where is my line touching the y-axis? 0. So what's my y-intercept? 0. Beautiful. Okay, so if my slope is m and my y-intercept is b in my equation, what is the equation of this line?
Y equals 1x plus 0.
Beautiful. Y equals, my m is 1 x plus my b is 0.
Can you do that 1 over 1 as well?
Yes, yes, you could also say y equals 1 over 1x plus 0. That would also be perfect. Now, something else you can do. This is jumping ahead. It's okay if we don't understand this just yet, but I am going to show you because some of you may find it interesting. When we have 1x, how else can we write that?
X.
Just x. So I could also write y equals x, and do I really need to write plus 0? No. This is also the equation. Y equals x, or y equals 1x plus 0. Both are correct. Now, I want to show you, I don't want to overwhelm you by showing you this new thing, but again, I think you'll find it interesting. If we were to look at all the coordinates on this line, you'll see why we can write the equation as y equals x. For example, this point, my coordinate would be 1, 1. Oops, I wrote 2. 1, 1. This coordinate would be 2, 2. This coordinate is 3, 3. Yep, 4, 4. And it would go on for infinity. You could also do the same with negative 1, negative 1, 0, 0, negative 2, negative 2, on forever. So what this equation tells me is whatever my y value is, my x value is the same. Y equals x. Kind of cool. I think it's neat. Makes sense why our line looks the way it does. It's going right through the middle of both axes to show that they're equal to each other. Pretty neat. Okay, so there is this one. We got our slope, our y-intercept, and we even wrote an equation. Now, let's look at our second line. And we'll pick 2 points. Let's do these over here. So starting from the left, how far up or down do I move to get to the next point?
Down 1 over 1.
Yes, down 1 over 1. Now when we go down 1, what's the sign of that number? Negative, because we went down. So, what is my slope? Negative 1 over 1.
That negative makes a difference.
Yes, it does. Because guess what? If both of these had the same slope, if they were both 1, they would both be looking exactly the same. They have different slopes. That's why they're going in different directions. So,
Same equation, but
yes, exactly, exactly. So our slope is negative 1 over 1. We could also write this as just negative 1. The same thing. And now let's look at our y-intercept. Where does this line touch my y-axis? 1, right here. So my y-intercept is 1. So I'm going to rewrite this a little bit neater. I'm going to say b or Wow, I did that wrong, guys. I'm sorry. M, or my slope is -1, or you could say -1/1. And then my y-intercept, or B, is 1. So if I wanted to write the equation of this line, what is my equation? Y is -1/1 x plus 1. That's the equation. Not too bad. Now, just like we can say 1x is the same as x, we could say -1x is what? You could say -x. Both are fine. I'm okay with either. But we could also say -x plus 1. So, both work. There we go. We wrote equations. We found slope. We found y-intercept. Lots of things, you guys. That's awesome. Okay. It is almost 3 o'clock. I'm going to let you leave. That is all. No exit ticket today. Give your brains a break this weekend. Enjoy the break. Well, at least enjoy the break from math.
I still deal with math.
Oh, man.
That's my everyday job.
All right.